All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. The first story that I've got for you guys today, a lot of people talking about Larry Wheels making his classic physique debut this past weekend at the NPC Ultimate Warrior show, where he won the overall and his division in classic physique. And I think he did that relatively easily. So I think this was kind of a warm-up show for him for doing the Amateur Olympia, where he will be trying to earn his IFBB Pro card in classic physique there. This was just kind of the qualifier. This was just kind of, like I said, just really kind of the warm-up. But I think what you see here, and first I'm going to show you guys just the pictures that Larry posted, and then very briefly show you guys some of what Larry posted on his channel, because the contest galleries are still not up for this show. I've been waiting for NPC News Online to put up the pictures, but they still haven't put them up. So I was kind of delaying making this video, but they're still not up, so we'll look at what Larry's got on his channel. But look, Larry looked pretty good here. This was the best conditioning, I think, certainly, that we've seen from Larry up until this point. Obviously, having to make that weight limit was something that was probably a pretty significant challenge for him. Being a guy that was around 300 pounds, like most of his YouTube career, doing the powerlifting, doing the viral videos where he had these crazy weightlifting feats of strength, strongman, arm wrestling. MD, the Brazilian bodybuilding superstar. We got a preview of his physique at just 2 weeks out from his open bodybuilding debut, which is going to be at the Romania Muscle Fest Pro, just a week after the Olympia. So honestly, this guest posing that he just did this weekend, I didn't think it was that impressive. I think, honestly, I was expecting him to look a little bit better in terms of his midsection, in terms of his V-taper. That was something that when he was competing as an amateur was not a problem for him. But I think now that he's tried to put on size to be an open bodybuilder instead of a classic physique guy, he has a much blockier physique. He's got a much wider waist and a much more blown out midsection, and I think that's very, very evident in this guest posing video. And that's one of the things that I liked the most about his physique as an amateur was, first of all, I really liked his conditioning because he always came in crazy shredded, but he had a really nice V-taper, a really small waist, and a really classic look for a guy that as an amateur, he was competing as a bodybuilder. But now that he's tried to put on size to be competitive and open, I feel like, honestly, it's really thrown off his physique, and the things that people liked about it are no longer there. And then you got to combine that with the fact that at 2 weeks out, I don't think his conditioning here is where it needs to be. Then he turns around from the back, and I don't think his back shots are really that good. He just doesn't have that muscle density in the back double bicep, the back lat spread. For an open bodybuilder in the IFBB Pro League, I just don't think this is enough. And while when he was in classic physique, even though he was struggling to make that weight limit for classic physique as a pro, I think he was, honestly, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but I think honestly he was a much more exciting prospect as a classic physique pro than he's looking right now as an open bodybuilding pro. And I know he's got a lot of social media hype, and I was part of that. I think he is a tremendous bodybuilder, and I think he was, when he earned that pro card, he was a very exciting prospect. But I'm starting to see some of that excitement slip away as I see more and more of his physique leading up to this Romania show. I don't know how well it's going to go for him, and I don't really know who else is doing that show because, again, it's right after the Olympia, so likely a lot of the top bodybuilders that are in the Olympia will not be there. They're not going from Orlando to Romania that week, especially not the top guys that do well. They're probably not going to do anything after the Olympia for a long time. So it might not be that hard of a lineup, and he could conceivably pick up an early qualification, the earliest possible qualification for next year's Olympia, and then take the whole year of 2024 to try to improve and refine his physique for that. That would be good. And I think that's probably his game plan, but I guess we'll find out in about 2 weeks. And again, I apologize if my voice still sounds bad. Earlier this week, I did test positive for COVID. That's why I haven't been making as many videos. My voice has been terrible. I've felt like shit. Today is the first day I'm feeling better, and I feel like I can actually talk through a video. So I feel like for the rest of this week, going into the Olympia weekend, I'll be able to make videos multiple times a day, every day. And I think my voice is going to be back after today in full force. I feel like I'm like 80, 85% right now. But I appreciate everybody that asked me how I was feeling. I'm feeling better today for sure. Now, next up in the news, we got a recent physique update from Brandon Curry. Brandon says this was the last update that he filmed prior to touching down here in the States back in Orlando for the Olympia. So this was probably about a week and a half to 2 weeks out from the Olympia. Very recent update from Brandon. And honestly, this update and all the updates that we've seen from Brandon, especially the more recent ones, I wouldn't be surprised if Brandon is in the top 3 this year. And honestly, I would be surprised but not shocked if Brandon were somehow able to win another Olympia title this year. I think so many people have counted him out. But honestly, I don't see the flaw in his physique. If you look at his physique when he won the Olympia, he looks better now. The points that were even maybe a little bit weak back then, like his lower body, it's better now. He looks bigger now. His conditioning looks pretty on point. He's the only guy, and I want to keep pointing this out because I think it's important. He is the only guy in this Olympia lineup that has beaten Hadi Choopan at the Olympia. He is the only one. And not just once, but multiple times he's beaten Hadi. So while a lot of people are talking about Derek Lunsford as being next up, I think it's important to remember that Brandon is the only one in this Olympia that has beaten the current champion. And I just think that's a significant thing because nobody else in this lineup has done that. Brandon has done it multiple times. And when you look at Brandon, especially in these updates, and you realize there's no real sign of regression. There's no real sign of aging or injury or him backtracking with his physique. So we don't have like a list of reasons as to why Brandon could not beat Hadi again if Hadi were to come in off or if Brandon were to come in significantly better than last year. Why should we think that Brandon can't beat Hadi again when he's the only one that has? Why should we think that Brandon is not going to be in that conversation when he's the only other guy besides Hadi in that lineup with a Sandow? Let me know where you guys think Brandon will place at the Olympia in the comments down below. Now, the final story, well, maybe not the final, but the next story that I have for you guys today, Hadi Choopan. So this update of Hadi has been going around on all the big bodybuilding pages saying this is a current update from Hadi, but it's unconfirmed. So I want you guys to take this with a grain of salt because I've seen updates before that have been posted saying they're recent of Hadi, and then Hadi Rambot has texted me saying, no, it's not recent. So a lot of times when we get these updates that float around of Hadi, we got to take them with a very, very big grain of salt because there's a pretty good possibility they might not be recent. But this update is floating around of Hadi. A lot of people are saying it is recent. A lot of people are saying it is from 1 week out. A lot of people saying this is from while he was in the States for this prep. I mean, if that is the case, I still think that the updates that we see from Hadi, he's still the most conditioned guy posting updates. I don't think we've seen any of these other top guys post any updates that are on par with the conditioning that we've seen from the updates of Hadi. He's just on a different level. Even when we talk about Brandon, I don't think the conditioning is close. And again, it does kind of open that conversation for, well, if he looks this good, maybe he peaked a little bit too soon. That's possible, but I don't think that's the case with Hadi. Hadi is very consistent. He's never had that problem, really. So we have no reason to think that's the problem here. I think the safest bet for this year's Olympia, and I'm going to do a prediction video at some point this week, but I think the safest bet would probably be that Hadi retains the title this year. I know there's not like official betting odds for bodybuilding, but if there were, I think the safest bet would be on Hadi to win again, and that nobody in this lineup is going to be able to match or beat his conditioning this year. But that being said, you never know what's going to happen because pretty much everybody going into last year's Olympia, every podcast, every YouTube channel, they're looking at the updates from Big Ramy, and they were saying the same thing. Big Ramy is going to be the safest bet to win the Olympia last year, and Ramy slipped like 5 places. So you literally never know with a sport as subjective as bodybuilding. Anything could happen from year to year. It could be a whole different top 3 this year for all we know. You really could have, I don't think this is likely, but I think it's possible. You really could have a weird scenario like Samson winning the Olympia, Andrew Jackson second, and Michael Krizo in third. You could have a total toss-up. Any of that could happen. And you could have Hadi, Derek, and Brandon as 4, 5, and 6. That's the beauty of bodybuilding, man. Anything could happen. Now, next up in the news, this will be the final story. The latest update from none other than Keone Pearson at 1 week out from the 212 Mr. Olympia. I think Keone will be no lower than top 3 in 212 at the Olympia this year. And I think the next in line to have a dynasty as a 212 Olympia champion after Sean Clarita, it's going to be Keone. Once he figures out that perfect recipe for conditioning, he's like we've said this 1,000 million times, Keone has the best structure, I think, of most of the bodybuilding divisions. The craziest front double bicep, the V-taper, the lat flare from the front, the small waist, the vacuum pose. Everything about Keone's physique is a genetic phenomenon. And now that he's put on this extra muscle, this extra tissue for 212, grown from classic physique to this, once he really nails that conditioning, I think he will be unstoppable in this division. And I think he'll go on to have like a 5-year 212 title reign. I've said it before, and I will say it again. I think genetically speaking, Keone Pearson is one of the most talented guys in the IFBB, period. Some of the best genetics that we've seen in years for this sport. He just got to rival Sean Clarita or beat him on conditioning. So that's going to wrap it up for the video, guys. I hope you did, in fact, enjoy it. Again, I'm sorry for my voice. I'm sorry for the COVID. I'm sorry I've missed so many videos. I've been trying to save my voice and recover, but I should be good for the rest of the week, for Olympia week. It'll be all right. Thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power signing out. All right, guys, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. Also, check out my Instagram at Nick Strength Power. My Facebook page, which is simply Nick Strength and Power. My secondary YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Vlogs, for vlogs and bonus content that you will not see on this channel. And consider subscribing to my third YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Pokemon, which is all things Pokemon and trading card games, completely unrelated to this channel. So if you're into that, give that one a look. And all links to merchandise and social media will be in the description box below. If you guys want a Nick Strength and Power t-shirt, that will be in the Shopify link below. Have a great day.